Hello everyone. Today we have with us Sushilji and Lijoji. They own a Chicago pizza franchise and also two Indian restaurants, Sanskrit and Mantra, at Folsom location in California. Please join us as we explore their journey in the restaurant industry. Hello Sushilji. Hello Lijoji.
Hello.
How are you?
We are doing well, thanks.
Well,
Can you tell us a little about your family background?
I'm from a middle class family. My father was a professor, and then I was in India. I did my mechanical engineering. From there, I went into software, and now we're doing both software as well as restaurant.
Oh, nice. How would you, Lijoji?
so I was born and raised in Lonavala, close to Pune. I don't know if you know, it's Lonavala. It's quite famous in the movies.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
a small hill station between Bombay and Pune. So I was born and raised there. My dad was an administrator in a school, and mom was a housewife. So I did software engineering. Came to the US. I think I've known Sushil since 2000. I think so.
Yep.
2000, 2001. We used to we're in the same company working.
Oh, okay.
So occasionally we would meet and chat, and then talk about doing something different, something entrepreneurial, and food was always in the back of our minds.
Oh, okay.
We tried a few things before getting into the software, but eventually we decided we'll jump into the restaurant business.
Oh, okay. So, what inspired you to start only restaurant business?
We loved food. So we would try during lunches. I don't think I remember taking lunch from home.
Oh,
My wife would always say, "Why don't you take lunch?" But we would always go out and eat. And just in general, food was something we loved. And we would go to the restaurants, and I would always observe how they're doing stuff, and it would always be the back of our mind. How are they doing it? How are they doing it? And then just in general, that we gravitated towards food and restaurants and things. Let Sushil speak, but something similar with your experience as well, I think.
Yeah, I love food. You can see in me, I love food, enjoy food, and whenever we used to go to any restaurant here in Folsom, we would feel that the service was lacking, or the food would be good for the first 6 months, and then afterwards it would go down. So we wanted something that was more consistent and sustained. So that's where we loved to get into the food. There was a restaurant in Pune called Marzorin, and we both loved it. We wanted to implement something like this, start something like that here in Folsom, and we had been toying with that idea since 2005.
Oh, okay.
But then, since we were not from the restaurant background, we would do all the numbers, we would look at everything, and then we would not do it. So that was the story behind why we got into restaurant.
Right. Can you share us the backstory of all the three restaurants that you have started?
Yeah. So as I said, we did not have any restaurant background, so it was very challenging.
Right.
I was doing my master's in business administrator from Sac State, and one of our professors, once we graduated, one of our professors invited me and my partner to come and give a presentation in Sac State. So we had gone there, we presented our idea, and then one of the students, MBA students at that time, she wanted to meet with me and discuss some software ideas, and we were meeting, talking about the software ideas, and she said that her husband had started a Indian pizza place in Natomas, and that he was looking for a partner in Folsom. So I tried the pizza, and I loved the pizza. My daughter hates pizza. She does not like pizza, but she loved the pizza.
Okay.
So I said, okay, this is a good product, let's partner. So I met with her husband, and he said that I expressed my concern about lack of background, and he said that he will run the restaurant for 3 months, train me with all the operational aspects, and then he'll get me up and running. And that's why I started the pizza. So that's how we started the pizza. That gave us a little bit of background of how to handle a restaurant, at least a pizza place.
Oh.
And then, so when it came to Sanskrit, it was a bigger game at that time. So at that time there were not many restaurants, and which was giving really not just food, but good Indian food, consistent food, good service, just general feel. And we didn't find any, and there was not many. This was back in 2018. There were a few other restaurants which were doing really well, but something which we didn't meet our expectations. So there was an opportunity that came up, and then we kind of mulled on it for a couple of months, thinking, should we do, should we not do? Because we hadn't, running a pizza place is one thing, but running a full-fledged seated restaurant is a totally different ball game. And we had really no experience in it. Other than we were both very process oriented, software engineers. We were doing well we were both managers and directors in the software field, so we knew how to run a process. But that doesn't translate into a restaurant. But eventually, the passion for food and to do something on our own, other than just working for somebody else, that was the main driver. So we signed the lease, and once we got the restaurant, that morning I remember waking up and thinking, oh, what did we just do? But it was I think it turned out to be completely different from what we'd expected. It was way more challenging, way more challenging than just running something which our expectation of how a restaurant works to the reality was very different. But we had to adapt really quickly, change things quickly, and that both our past experiences, and we had worked well together, and that really helped in coordinating and jumping thing to thing. So that helped with Sanskrit, and then of course you remember COVID hit, and we had lots of challenges around it, but we made some pivots, and we were able to survive. And then came the opportunity with Mantra.
Yeah. So one thing about Sanskrit. So initially we started it, and it was a complete different ball game from the pizza. So we hired a restaurant consultant to come in and look at the operations, look at how everything should work, how the kitchen should be laid out, how the front should be laid out. So he came and gave some tips, and then one of our good friends, Neha, she came and helped us with some of the recipes on how to standardize the recipes. And then the other thing that we wanted for Sanskrit was, as Lijo said, we wanted to do some different kind of experience. And Lijo's mother-in-law, I'll let him.
So that was that's a great thanks for that's a great, because I think my wife and my mother-in-law, they deserve that credit. So we were, of course, we go to any restaurants, the standard butter chicken, chicken tikka masala, it's very standard, right? I mean, you go, it's the same, similar taste, watery taste across the board. Any restaurants you go, when it's I've tried it. I'm not a big fan. So when we started talking about restaurants, once we acquired it, we really didn't know which direction we wanted to go. What kind of recipe. So then me and my wife were talking, and then my mother-in-law had a student who had a couple of restaurants. Whose parents had a couple of restaurants back in Lonavala. They were from the Sindh region of Punjab before the partition, and they had migrated towards that area, and they had 2 successful restaurants running in Lonavala. So my mother-in-law had taught one of their sons, and when they were talking, they said, "Oh, why don't you come and we'll give you all the recipes. We'll teach you how those dishes are made in a traditional style from the Sindh region, how they make it." And then so my father-in-law, mother-in-law, they went to the restaurant. They worked with the chefs for 2 weeks, understood those recipes. My father-in-law made videos of it, detailed notes, and then we came here. We worked with our chefs here. And it was quite an experience to translate those recipes, bulk recipes. It was a very intense process, but we were able to translate all those. And once we tasted the very first, it was like a big bulb went in our eyes. Oh wow, this is completely different. This is a different ball game that we have done. And of course, then we had to keep on working, and that was the real driver for us and motivation to, hey, now we know we have something to take and run with it. Otherwise it was just like any other restaurant, right? Or we're doing the same thing. But that change was completely transformative. And then from there we built the menu around it, worked with the chefs. We had a really good chef back at that time. And one of the chefs, the head chef right now, was involved at that time as well. He had just joined our team. So I think that was one of the biggest drivers for our Sanskrit, the menu, and gave us a lot of experience experimenting the new menus and trying stuff. And of course, trying something as lay people than from people who have been in the restaurant is different, but we kind of learned So along the way, so it was a fun experience. That gave us a lot of confidence.
Yeah, our the 4 recipes that we got from India was the butter chicken, the butter recipe, so paneer butter masala or the butter chicken, the tandoori. So our tandoori chicken, the tandoori fish that we have has a different marination than other restaurants, and then the pahadi chicken. These are our pahadi chicken or veg
Pahadi
pahadi.
chicken is by far the most popular, the veg and the chicken one. I've anyone whoever goes to restaurants and want to try something, I always say try the Pahadi chicken or the Pahadi veg. It's something completely different, very unique taste.
Yeah.
So, can we call it your popular dish, Pahadi chicken and tandooris?
Yeah, at Sanskrit, yes, I think those are one of the. We have some like shrimp moil, which is a very traditional South Kerala inspired dish. That is also quite different. You won't find. I mean, you'll find it in other places, but the taste that we have is very unique. The chicken, butter chicken, and the chicken tikka, those are very unique. Same with the paneer. You can go to every restaurant, you'll find the dish, but to get that taste, I think I've tried. Sushila and we do a lot of experimentation. We every few months we drive to the Bay Area. We do scoping. We call it competitive analysis. So we drive to pretty much a lot of restaurants in the Bay Area, try the food, see how everybody's doing, what the industry is doing. So we kind of, even though we are not, and this is the first time actually we are actually telling our experiences, but we kind of drive to the Bay Area, and not just Bay Area, here also, just to make sure that we are still, or we have that edge above everybody else. And that is one of the things, key things in the restaurant, is you have to maintain your edge. You have to maintain your uniqueness.
Yeah. And then the other point of going to all the other restaurants is to see what are they doing better than us and how can we implement some of the things. So it's not just Indian restaurants. We go to all restaurants. We look at their decor, their service, their menu, how they treat people. Is there anything new that they're doing? Can we improve certain processes from our side? And we constantly have debates and discussions and arguments about, okay, should we do this or should we not do this, kind of things. And that has evolved us to be better.
That's good to hear. And have there been any instances like you liked some of other restaurants' dish and you have included in your menu?
Yes. Yeah. One of the most popular dishes in Sanskrit in appetizers is Bombay sliders.
Right.
And that one we borrowed from the Michelin star restaurant in Bay Area called Rasa. So they have this Bombay sliders, and it's a unique dish. It's not vada pav. It looks like vada pav, but if someone goes and eats it thinking that it's vada pav, they will be very disappointed. But it is really unique, and it is one of the most popular. It's one of my favorite dishes.
And we've added and we have added our own twist to it as well. It's but its inspiration is from them, but we have tried to adopt it, and that's what pretty much everybody, I'm sure, doing is you get inspired by something, then you make it your own. But that inspiration was from Rasa. So.
And I have seen few of new dishes in your restaurants, like Kanchipuram dosa, street fries, and also masala paneer hot dog. How did you come up with those dishes?
Yeah, you want to say?
So the Kanchipuram dosa was one of our chefs' idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we were challenging, and we always ask our chefs, hey, do something. Can you do something better? So can you come up with something new? Because that is what, that innovation and experimentation is what is needed. Otherwise, everything becomes static. So he came up with the Kanchipuram dosa. I don't know where he got the inspiration or where he found it, but he made it. And when we looked at it, it's like, wow, this is amazing, because the shape is different. It's an inverted cone with carrot and cilantro, and so it gives and beets, and it gives a different color to
very
it.
visually very appealing dish. And when he presented the first time, we were like, oh wow, this definitely. And I mean, dosa is very common, right? I mean, every restaurant you go, you have dosas, but to present that simple dish in a very innovative way was something that was very, I think, was very inspirational for our menu. So,
Yeah, one of the things that Lijo always says is, you don't eat with you just don't eat.
Yeah, I think, and that's it's not something that I came up with. I had read it somewhere. And that made a lot of sense. It's you the five senses. And if you go to our website, there is a blog. We wrote a blog on it as well. And that's how I experience food when I go to a restaurant. And we both have the same thing and it's just when we go to a restaurant, you just don't want to eat the food and just run out, right? You want to experience it. You want to see how it smells, how it visually appealing, how it tastes, how do you hear it, and finally how do you taste it. So all these five ingredients, and that is to me is in a sense of when I go eat. Otherwise, I can eat at home, right? My wife cooks, and we can we can eat at home. But when you go out and eat, it has to be an experience, in my opinion. It might not translate everybody. Some people have I just want to go eat and go on with my day. But when I go to eat outside, we look at that. Okay, what is that experience? And that is one of the inspirations for both of our restaurants, is to give that experience to people. Is when somebody walks in, right from the time they come into the restaurant, the way we greet the people, the way we seat the people, the differences we give when you're seated, the food, and towards the end when they leave. And that whole experience is something that we're trying to create. And there's still a long way to go. I don't think we have mastered the art. It is a constant improvement. We have to be on top of everything, because we always keep telling you to the employees that you're as good as your last performance, but irrespective of whether you have done hundreds of great things, but you will be judged on your last performance by the customers. So
if you, this is one of our pet peeves, which is we go look at a review, and a lot of times people say, hey, we have been to this restaurant multiple times, and this time it was the worst thing, and here's a 1-star review. And we think, hey, you came here so many times, you had great experience. Did you give those 5-star reviews?
Yeah.
But one day we made a mistake or something happened, and you're upset, and now you give 1-star review. What happened to all the other times that you have come to us?
Right. I mean, and it's not to, that is the human experience, right? It's not something negative. We're not saying that, hey, customers should not do it. That is a human experience. When people go to a place, your last experience is what you remember. It is fresh in your mind, and that's what you want to express. That whether it's anger, and sometimes people express the happiness too. So one of the things that we have done here is we don't want people to feel upset and then go back and then remove the anger. I mean, it'll happen. I'm not saying don't do it. So what we do is we have this feedback cards. We give it. We keep it on, telling the people is after the finish the meal, when just before they're about to leave, give them the cards. And it's a simple card. It's I think a 4x6 card, and all it says is, how can we do better? And it's just a one line, and there's no questions. It can be creative. Some people draw figures on it. Some people give thumbs up. Some people give really good feedbacks, and that really matters to us. So, and we've been posting it also because we want to share that information to the customers. But that drives a lot of how we improve those feedback cards. It's one thing to get feedback from the social media, from Yelp or Google or Facebook, and then react to it. But getting those feedbacks right up front, it's even more valuable, because sometimes people, you might not want to talk to the server, irrespective of how good they are, right? You just don't feel that energy to talk. But when you give them a piece of paper and a pen or a pencil, they'll write there. And we've like stacked hundreds of cards. And we were trying to write a software which we could upload it and
do some sensitivity analysis.
Using AI, we're doing some analysis to see. So since we're both from the software industry, we'd always try to find ways to optimize and get things done. So we've been doing something. So it's just to get that to see what is that sentiment analysis. How does the customers feel on a daily basis, and then kind of do that. So we've been trying to work on it. So that's
yeah.
Do you take feedback on daily basis, or how is it?
Yes, we every day. Sometimes occasionally, I think when it gets busy, they forget to give the cards. But our goal is to give it on a daily basis. Every single day, every single customer, just give it. And if they have anything to say, that's fine. If they don't, that's fine too. It's not they have to. It's optional, and we get good feedback. So on an average, I think we get 10 to 15 a day, sometimes more. But our goal is to get it on a daily basis. When we run out of those cards, we have to print them. So right now we are out. but it's just a question of printing them. But our goal is to get it on a daily basis. I think that's the key.
That's awesome. So, have there been any instances where you got low rating in spite of no mistake from your end?
I'll share one experience at the pizza. So by the way, whenever we get a 1-star review, initially, I mean, we could not sleep for a couple of days at least. We would always think as to, okay, what happened, what could we have done better, how we would have prevented this, and then based on those we go and improve our process. First thing is we reach out to the customer using direct messaging to see whether we can improve or we can figure out what we can do for them. Uh, Not because of the 1-star review, or rather, not because they posted on this thing. We want to make sure that every customer is valued, and we value every customer. So once what happened is we got a 1-star review at the pizza, and then I asked the employees what happened, and they said that we made the pizza. They called in. The wife called and ordered the pizza, and we made it in 20 minutes. But the husband did not come and pick it up for a couple of hours. And when he came to pick it up, we told him that this pizza has been sitting for some time and it's not as appetizing. We can make another one. But he was in a rush. He just said, no, this is okay, and he just took it home. And then the wife got super upset that the pizza was bad and it was very dry and didn't look good, and she posted a 1-star review. I mean, we tried to call them, talk to them, uh, but nothing happened. But this was so when we called, we spoke with the husband, and he was like, "Oh, don't worry about it. We'll take care of it."
Okay.
So
Yeah.
it was very funny.
Yeah, I mean, it's as Sushil mentioned, when you get a 1-star rating, right? It's like someone is rating your work, right? So
Right.
it's when my daughter gets a B grade in math, I'm upset, but in my mind, I'm like, okay, how can I? So it's just similar. Someone is grading you. Someone is grading how you perform, and it's quite upsetting. Even though it's just a 1-star ratings, many restaurants, they don't even care about the social media. And I have a friend who has sushi place, and he says, I don't even look at Yelp, and he does great. He's got good ratings, but he's got a lot of negative ratings too. But he says, I don't pay attention because that's quite upsetting. And to a sense, it makes sense too. But for us, I can't ignore it. Whenever there's a review, we both get alerts on our phone immediately.
Immediately.
Instantly, whether it's Yelp, Google, we immediately get it on our phones. Hey, you have a 1-star review, or 5. So then as I said, we kind of figure out the initial reaction is anger. Like, how dare somebody can rate? I mean, they don't understand the passion behind it, right? For them, it is, my food was late, it looked terrible, or my food didn't taste well. So it's their instant reaction. But for us, the effort that goes behind it is like no one is seeing it, right? It's like the duck, right? The duck is it's very calm on the surface of the water, but underneath the water, it's paddling like crazy. So that is exactly what happened in the kitchen. It's like crazy, but outside it's like a calm music is going on, and then so that really bothers us. So we do take a lot of effort in trying to figure out what happened. And first thing is first immediately call.
We call
They
them.
know
What
our
happened?
numbers. Like, okay, what happened? And then they sometimes they are like, they know the moment somebody is upset and walks out the door, even before the review comes, they call us. They say, hey, this is what happened, so expect one. So they just to calm down our anxiety and anger. So, but we have to walk through it. That is the nature of the industry. Yeah, as I said, you're judged on your last performance. Irrespective of that person coming in and having 10 times great experience, that one experience is enough for them to go and put in a 1-star review, and then that is what sticks, right? That's what people see. They don't see that experience that happened 10 times before it. So, but the reality is we have to pay attention. We have to be on top of it. We have to work with the customers, make sure that we're not blaming them. We know that is the something, we miss something. And if we miss something, we try to fix it. We either by giving them a different experience when they come next, or however we can make sure that they are happy with their experience and they come back, because the customer retention is the key thing, right? You want the people to come back, not have a bad experience and go away. We want them to come back. We want them to be loyal. That loyalty building is the key. How do you build loyal customers? And whether they come one time, show up the next year one time, that's okay. But that loyalty, that factor is what we're trying to build, and that's what is the in our opinion is the key to a successful business, is that loyalty. And that again, it ties into your experience and everything. So that whole cycle, it's very painful, but it is something that we are passionate day in and day out. It's like sometimes we both wake up and say, why are we doing this? I mean, software is easy, right? Get in the morning, I can do my stuff, and but this is something different. Whenever I walk in, it's that excitement that's different, and that keeps us going. So.
Yeah. And to add on to this thing, so to Lijo's comments, we are humans, and we do make mistakes, and sometimes we fail, we drop the ball, and that's where we try to coach our team. We have a great team. Everybody is very passionate. Everybody is very wants to do better. They cry. I mean, literally, some of our employees cry that, hey, I made a mistake, and we got a 1-star review. So it's all it's all human. Sometimes we make mistakes.
Have you ever received any feedback that made you take a significant step in your restaurant?
Yeah, there are a few instances where which made us change certain things. We at Sanskrit in early on days, we didn't have all the processes in place. So there was a mistake where we gave chicken instead of paneer to someone, and it was very upsetting. It was upsetting to me personally, because we both value everybody's dietary preference, religious beliefs, and everything. And it was very upsetting. And so we tried to figure out, okay, what can we do to avoid this thing? And we brought in processes where we ordered green stickers for veg and red stickers for non-veg items, and we would have separate containers so that there's no mistake as when we hand it out. But that was one thing. Second thing is that kind of put in a thought in our mind is that why not start a vegetarian restaurant?
Oh, okay.
So that thing was behind our minds all the time, that okay, how can we do this? How can we avoid this thing happening? And so that's where we said, okay, let's do a vegetarian restaurant. And when the opportunity came for Mantra, even though we are very close to similar restaurants, we thought, no, we want to do something. And this was where we thought, okay, maybe this is an idea where we can implement our margarine concept with different unique appetizers and cater only to pure vegetarians. So that's where the masala paneer hot dog came in. We are trying to look at all different types of sandwiches. So we had paneer corn, smoked paneer corn sandwich, the masala paneer hot dog, and then our classic favorites, kachi dabeli, vada pav, and all those kind of things. So sandwiches kind of thing. So we said, okay, let's start this. So in Mantra, we do not even have egg. So even the mayonnaise that we use for our burgers is eggless mayonnaise. So this is completely pure vegetarian place.
That's nice. And how do you pick your dishes that goes on the menu?
It's a that's a quite so the for Sanskrit we as I mentioned, once we had those 4 recipes, it was pretty straightforward what we wanted to do, and then that was a driver for most of the menu items, and we've kind of stuck to it. Okay, so we do review menu very regularly, what to remove, what every few months we are constantly having reviews. And but for Mantra, we, as Sushil mentioned, the inspiration was to do something similar to what the concept of margarine in Pune, and then we added some more to it just to make sure that to have a value differentiator with other restaurants. So we tried a lot of other dishes, like we have appam and stew. That was something very unique. None of the restaurants provided that, and then that actually my mother-in-law tried, and she does it at home. And then we tried it, and it was really, and we had the chefs come and do it. It turned out really well, and then so we have it on the menu. Then some other dishes were kind of standard, but then we tried it over here. It tasted well. and it was something different. A vegetarian restaurant we're not providing that. So that's. But then that being said, we do review the menu constantly. Every month we take a feed. Our POS system gives us a feed data on what's selling, what's not selling. We review it frequently, and then take a look and say, okay, these items can be changed. And then we also try some of those on a special, some new dishes on the specials, and see how it performs. And if it performs, then we slowly introduce it into the menu. So most of the dishes that in specials are very unique. Like 2 weeks ago, we had jackfruit sliders or jackfruit burgers.
Amazing.
It's amazing. I mean, I loved it. I mean,
Yeah.
we tried, the chef tried, and I was like, wow, this is just amazing. So slowly we will introduce it onto our menu. It's a process because we have to price it, cost it, then print the menu, then change them. So it takes a little while, but we do a lot of this on a weekly basis, identifying new dishes, testing them, training them. Oh, sorry, training the processes, and then see how it works, and then introduce. So we do it on a very regular basis, but you don't see it happening on the menu, but it does. Every few months we add a item. We haven't done a wholesale change to the menu. That is hard because you have to kind of see where that, if you change the whole menu, that means you're completely changing your direction. So we don't do that, but we change certain items, add new items, remove items, non-performing items are kicked out. So we do that on a regular basis.
Oh, okay. So do you have any particular period, like after every month I'm gonna update my menu?
It's we don't have a fixed schedule of changing the menu. If we see that we have hit a critical point, hey, now these items are not performing and we need to do something different, then we change it. So it's not on a fixed timeline, but that is constantly in our minds that is something we have to change and update and keep it fresh, basically.
And if we do a dish that is really exciting, like the jackfruit slider, we will introduce it, kind of thing. So we do that. But with a lot of thought and lot of process goes into figuring out, okay, what should we add or remove.
Satisfying husbands and kids' taste buds itself is a big task. How do you maintain your food consistency, quality consistency?
Oh, you can see it. So we come very regularly to eat lunches over here. Here in Sanskrit, we constantly, so like we were there 2 days ago, we wanted to try that, because thali menu is something that's not on the menu. The dish is changing every day, right? How do you make that, how do you make it consistent? It's very hard because we're not tasting it. So we do regularly come here. Every time when we come here, we try something different. And or I'll be going into the kitchen, and also she'll just take a small bowl and we taste it just to make sure. Even sometimes the chutneys, it might be a little salty, and so immediately something is broken. The chutneys is not right, or the medu vada, right? It is very, very tricky. I was not a big fan of the vada because we were always struggling with it. And I would go to other restaurants. They also, I was not very happy with most of them. But lately, we changed some of the process, and it is coming extremely well. So we do regularly check the items on the menu, taste it, and then just if something is off, like lately we had over the months our appam and stew. The stew was changed. I mean, it was a very simple dish, but I think over the period of months, of optimizing, we are trying to not just optimize the taste, but optimize the processes also. But in that process, the color of the stew changed, and we didn't really notice it, and unless we got a feedback. So then we do a review of the items. How was it? And so we go back and check.
Yeah, and then the other thing is we have friends who come to the restaurants, and we want good and bad feedback. A lot of times people come and say, we went to your restaurant, it was amazing and all. But what we really want is if something was off, so that we can come and fix it. Nothing is intentional. We want to make sure that whatever we do is good, consistent, and with high quality. So a lot of times friends tell us, hey, we had this kind of experience. So we come and check whether it was just that particular day something was off or what.
Yeah. And that feedback cards that I mentioned earlier, that helps a lot, because people who are regular customers, they immediately write, hey, like we have. So one of the items that we focus on here is soups and salads, because it's something different. We don't have Indian soups and salads in most restaurants. Most restaurants, typical the vegetarian places, you have. So we wanted to focus on soups and salads. That's why we have it here. It's inspired by Jack's Urban Eats, which was one of my favorite restaurants. So it's in the opposite Sanskrit. They have lots of salads, and I really like that concept. So we introduced salads and soups. And one of the customers one day mentioned that, hey, your salad tasted different. So then we immediately kicked in a review process, and we realized, yes, there's something. The process had changed. The drizzling that was used was changed slightly, and that caused the taste to be different. So those kind of feedbacks also help. That feedback cards, feedback from customers, and we just occasionally, when people are passing by, we just kind of check with them. So. But again, you have to be on it. You have to constantly be on top of it to get that, keep the consistency. It's not easy.
Yeah.
It's not a mechanical or a process that you can replicate every single time. It's
Right.
just
Indian-
like,
Yeah, as you said, Indian cooking is very very challenging to get consistency and this thing. So
yeah, our goal is to we are not there yet to get that process really fine tuned so that we don't have to. But it takes, especially with the way our menu is or the items are, it's not impossible, but it will take time to get to that process that like go to McDonald's, right? You go to McDonald's, that burger or it'll taste exactly the same. It's not going to be different from day to day. It's very hard. It's many years of effort and process and people and to create. We are, as I earlier mentioned, process-driven people. But to get to that is going to take some time.
Right. So, can you share with us any difficult or challenging situation that you faced during your journey?
Oh my God, it's a. I think there are different challenges on a daily basis. That being said, we do have full-time jobs. That is something that we don't get distracted. We work, and then we have excellent managers here. So in the evenings after work, we come here, and then we get that feedback. But there are constant challenges. It changes from day to day. So it could be somebody calls in sick. And then we have to scramble to figure out. But the managers handle it. It doesn't distract our work that we're doing. But then sometimes something's broken. The walk-in freezer does not work during the hot summer days. The AC is not working. So it's never a lack of excitement. Every single day you walk in, there is a new excitement. Then we keep telling, maybe we should convert this whole thing into a reality show. Because there's so much excitement every day. We just have to put cameras and mics, and we'll have a lot of content every day. And it is, I mean, just from personal challenges, interactions, and customer interactions, something getting broken, and it's like, oh wow, this is a lot of good content.
it's there's no lack of excitement and challenges in this business. It's very easy. A lot of people think that, hey, I cook great at home, let's start a restaurant. It's not easy. I mean, apart from the day-to-day running of the restaurant, there are a lot of things that happen in the back end, and even the people working in the front, they don't realize how much work we have to do in the back end to support the business. It's a lot of again, it depends upon what you want the restaurant to be. We want it to be process driven. We are both from software background, so we look at data quite regularly. We analyze the data for various things, like, okay, where are we spending more? Where are we? Where is our expense? Where can we cut down our expense, or how can we optimize our expenses? Or what can we do better? What can we bring in? How can we improve certain things? So there's a lot of constant thing that is going on, and we that's where we were thinking of starting a podcast, video blog, which shows our journey of the restaurants.
I mean, it's all. Everything in life is data driven, right? Whether in software field, it's all data driven, and there's so much of data to really understand what is happening. And there are a lot of tools available, like a POS system does provide reports, but it still does not capture a lot of this data points. So we've been trying to figure out how do we capture all the data. Most of the weekends, we we sit down and look at, I don't know if you're in the software field, but we download the data and then we use Tableau to do all of our reporting and analytics, and we'd look at the data and see that to do trend analysis. And so there's a lot of data driven thing that we can do, but it's not easy. It takes time.
It takes time.
It takes time because there are not tools are not available, or then we have commitments at home. Hey, I have a 10-year-old, I have to be with home or just be at home. So and then of course our day job. So so we have to kind of blend. But as Sushil was saying, it's all data driven. There's a lot that we can learn on a daily basis to improve and to do better. And that's, as I mentioned, that a lot of people don't realize that's what they expect. They come and eat, have a good experience, and then and go home or to do whatever. But behind the scenes, the amount of effort that is there, it's a lot, and a lot of people don't see it. So the people, for a lot of things, oh, it's a restaurant, it's a great thing to get in and start a business, and that's how we were too. I mean,
That's how we got in.
But once we got in, that's when it's like I remember my first job. My boss, remember this very clearly, and I was just 21, 22. My first job, I was very excited, and I had my first assignment to go to Hong Kong. And he says, Lijo, I'm letting you go, but remember, you're jumping into a sea of sharks. It's your job to figure out how to swim out of it. And he was true. My first job, I was like, I was going to get eaten by people, but that's exactly how it is here. It is. You have to keep that edge. You have to constantly find ways to be better, do better, give the better experience to people. So but it is exciting too. It can be mentally draining. At the same time, it drives you. It drives you to do better. I cannot sit idle. I think that's just how people are. For me, my wife keeps complaining that he's always doing something. So I cannot. But there are times, but I do in the evenings. I shut down and I watch Netflix. Just sit down. Then my wife says, "What's wrong with you? Why are you sitting watching Netflix?"
Similar episode at my home. It's like Deepali, my wife. She's like, "I want you to sit at home one day and not do anything away from the laptop, everything." So one day I said, "Okay, fine," and then I just sit at home. It's like, why are you sitting here to do something?
It's true, because they don't see us just sitting at home, right? So they think something is definitely wrong. You're sitting and watching Netflix. But that is also needed. You are so busy, right? Your brain is constantly on the move, running, disconnecting things, and you want your brain to shut down and just focus. And then you come out of it, then you have hundreds of different ideas. But it is exciting, draining. It's a lot of emotion. It's a lot of emotional ups and downs. But at the end of the day, is it worth it? I think it is worth. I think it is satisfying, as long as we can continue doing it.
Yeah.
As long as we can continue doing it, it's definitely. I have no regrets. Totally. Sometimes you question your sanity. You had no background in restaurant industry, and then what made you think to get into the restaurant industry? I never even imagined that I'll be where we are, because it was something. But when just before we started the restaurant, there used to be a restaurant in Folsom, and it's still there. It's called Mexquite. It's near Empire Ranch area. And when it opened back in, I think, 2005-06, I remember thinking, oh, maybe I should ask the owner if he can let me go work in his kitchen, so I can experience what a kitchen is like. And I did ask him also. I was like, but he didn't let me. Anyway, but it's a fun ride.
Yeah, and we both are introverts.
Yeah, that's another challenge. Yeah.
We both are introverts. But for me, being in the restaurant gives me an opportunity to interact with people, and that's satisfying. So
yeah, I mean, I used to back in when I was doing my studies, I used to teach part time. I used to teach computers to the others in an institute, just to get in some extra money to support myself. So that experience really helped. But if you tell me to go speak in front of 100 people, I can easily do it. But if I have to do it, if I have a choice, I will not do it.
Okay.
Because
you must be forced to do something.
So it's like if you put me in a spot, I will swim out of it. But in general, I prefer to be just quiet, do my own thing. But here, when I'm here, when you stand there, in the front of the restaurant, and then you have to get into that mode of greeting people. So that's extra something that we have to do.
So in recent times, we have faced pandemic, right? So what are the strategies that you have adapted in those situations?
So the the I mean, COVID was something we never expected, and no one expected COVID to be where it was, right? I still remember and Sanskrit had started. It was just a year into the business. 2019 we started. 2020 I still remember March 15, 2020 when COVID hit. It was like everything we had buffet back then in Sanskrit, and then that day it was a Saturday or something, and then we was like, how do we serve people? So then we had people wearing gloves, and we were serving and wearing masks, and there were like 2 people showed up for buffet. I'm like, oh wow, this is. And that month 15th, the revenues dropped like 70%. There was a 70% drop in revenue the next month, and like, oh wow, this is not going to be sustainable. So we had to really pivot. So being in the software field, we were able to come up with, we set up a website, subscription website. We developed it ourselves instead of going, and we immediately did a pivot to doing this delivery service. Sanskrit Dabba, we used to call it back then. And then we would sometimes we both would go drive. Also, our employees would go and do a subscription.
Drive and deliver the food
to people
every day.
So that was and that helped us come over the hard periods of COVID, because that was totally unexpected. And people were not coming in, and the government shut down, so no one was going to come to the restaurant. We could not have people inside the restaurant, but we didn't lay off anybody. We maintained. I don't think we laid off anybody. Maybe we cut down hours for some people, but we didn't. All the core staff we retained. We retained. We changed our strategy to Dabba. We would go and deliver the Dabba, and that kind of helped us a lot. So that was one of the biggest challenges. And in other times as well, whenever we see, based on the data, things changing, competition increasing, or somebody, we have to be on top and see what value we provide. So we try to always strategize and keep on thinking different, something new. So it's as I said, it's constant. The reaction, we have to be quick in reacting, and be able to take it further.
So during the pandemic, we started the Dabba service. We cut down the hours for some of the employees, and the employees were really great. They supported us during that period, and that was really good.
Yep. Yeah. I think all of the employees were really understanding of what was happening, and we were just new at the time. So there were a lot of established restaurants who were able to kind of coast through it because of what they had. They had a credit, but we were just coming. We had to build that trust in people, and to build that trust, that helped develop that trust.
So how do you market if you have any offers or deals going on now? Do you use any social media?
Yeah, we use that's the primary means of marketing. We have weekly specials. So the weekly special, the chef gives it to us for next week. He'll give it to us on a Friday. Then we strategize how do we market it. Then we have our Facebook page, Instagram page. And then, so that's for the primary means. So we post daily specials, and people who have subscribed to our Facebook page or Instagram, they get to see it. But we do encourage people. We have loyalty programs wherein we send emails to customers about specials. So that is something that we have to do to make sure that to build the general awareness among people. If you still, I'm sure that within Folsom or in surrounding areas, there'll be the majority of people still don't know about these restaurants. There will be a big chunk of people.
There are a few people who don't know about us.
And it could be the same and it depends, because if you've been around for maybe 15, 20 years, it could be different, or if you have a bigger presence. But for us, we have to constantly build that trust. So we actively use social media.
Oh, okay. And what kind of impact does food delivery services like Uber or DoorDash have on restaurant business? Especially your restaurant.
Yeah, so it's kind of a necessary evil that we have to adopt. And not many people know that Uber Eats and DoorDash, they take up to 30% of the revenue that comes in. So which is a big challenge for us, because the restaurant margins are not that much to give 30%, but those are necessary. It's a convenience for customers.
No, yeah, finish. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's a convenience for customers, and it's a different platform. Our 30% of our revenue comes from DoorDash and
Yeah.
Uber Eats and all. So it's a big chunk of revenue that comes from them, but they charge us also.
Yeah. And from a customer's perspective, I use DoorDash occasionally because my daughter loves to eat sushi and stuff. So sometimes you're busy, I'm in a meeting or doing something and I cannot go. And so I do order DoorDash. So it is something the restaurant industry has benefited in general, I think. But at the same time, from a cost perspective, the margins are pretty barely there because 30% is going to those platform providers, and they have to run their business too. It is a convenience being provided, but at the same time, it does bring in more business to the restaurants, but at a cost. The margins are very low, so there are some other platforms if people are coming up with which use it, but essentially you can't escape that cost. Someone has to pay that cost, so and it ends up being the restaurants most of the time.
Okay.
But there are some other services that are in the Bay Area, and they had approached us as well to try something different, so at a lower cost. So I think it'll evolve. That industry will evolve. Right now, the customers paid, and they're kind of taking it from both hands, taking it from the customers and a big chunk from the restaurants end. But I think that industry, I think eventually that business model will evolve. In my opinion, I think it will has to evolve because you're providing a platform, especially with AI. I think it'll be even more interesting the next few years how those things evolve. So,
Yeah.
So why did you choose only restaurant business? Is it a planned one, or is it a change of direction?
uh,
I mean, we both have been trying to do something on our own other than just working for someone else. Um, so, so one of the things was the restaurants, but for a long time we used to meet every Saturday. Literally every Saturday we used to meet in the morning, and we would brainstorm ideas. Okay, what can we do? And there are some. There's still potential.
we are ahead of times.
Yeah, there's still certain potential ideas that we have that are a little bit ahead of time, that if we implement now we will not succeed. And we did one such thing in 2007. So we had started a software company, and we were trying to be we were trying to implement a software that would connect the hospital systems and the insurance companies in India in 2007. And we were ahead of time. We invested actually a lot of money. We invested a lot of money in that company. We developed the software. We worked on it for about 18 months. We worked with the hospital systems on one end, and then we worked with the third-party adjudicators. In India, there were 27 at that time, and we spoke with all 27 of them. We went to India to say, hey, we are building this, join us, or be a partner. And they're like, why should we give the money faster to the doctors?
Okay.
Okay, and that's where the breakdown happened. Now, the government of India a few years back came out and said, we will implement this. And they solicited bids from multiple companies. And I think one of the companies, IBM, I think got the contract, but I'm not sure where it has ended up. I have not seen anything. Basically, it's a piece of software that would connect the hospital systems and the insurance companies to do the revenue cycle faster for the hospitals. But this was in 2007 and 8, and then we gave up at that time.
Yeah, we did that for a little bit, and then we realized. But that's when a lot of the system, all this platforms are coming up. So we keep thinking, and we had similar ideas, but we just never. Again, it's easy to think of ideas, but implementing is the hard part. So we just never did it, and then eventually kind of gravitated towards this opportunity.
Yeah.
So whenever you go to any new restaurant, what are the 5 things that you observe?
Good.
I mean, I am and people, our employees think I'm very critical about everything. I look at the finer details, and I'm constantly. Sometimes they're. I'm sure they're not very happy, but that you need that. You need that. At least me personally, I'm very critical. So, just the experience, right? What is the experience that I'm getting in? And sometimes I go to a restaurant, the food might be good, but if I'm not treated well, or if I just don't feel it, then what's my incentive to go back in again? So I always look at those 5 things and see how, and then rate and say, okay, hey, and that's also inspiration for me to improve our establishments. Okay, why, what are they not doing? Why the food is good, but why? And you'll still find, even if the foods, there are both ways, right? Even if there are all 4 pillars fail, but the food is good, people will still go, and that will happen. But me personally, I keep rating people, restaurants or establishment based on my expectations. And if anything doesn't meet, then I can think, okay, I can do. If we are not doing it, I'll do it better over here, and then and build that loyalty of audience. So that is what we constantly evaluate when we go to any new establishment, keeping in mind how can we do things better, and that's what reflected in the card as well. How can we do things better?
From my perspective, there are 4 things a restaurant has to have. One is, or 4 things that are the pillars of a restaurant industry. One is the quality of the food, the consistency of the food, the cleanliness of the establishment, and customer service. These are the 4 pillars. You have to have a balance of these, or try to excel, and that's what we are trying to do. Is we want to excel in all 4 of this. We constantly are looking at quality, trying to make sure that our quality is good. We get all the food from all proper vendors, make sure that the food quality, whatever we pay a little bit extra to buy good quality products. So for Indian stuff, we partner with House of Spices, which is the distributor of Lakshmi products all over US. So we get quality Indian groceries for them, and then we also get spices and stuff from Sikandar. They provide one of the best spices in the area. So that's a quality. Second thing is the consistency. The food has to be consistent. If I like something in a particular restaurant, I go and eat only that thing. Most of the time, I'll try everything, and then I settle on one thing that I like. And then it has to be, the consistency has to be there. If I don't like something, I know that I don't like it, won't order it. So that consistency has to be there. If it's good, it's good. If personally I don't like, then I don't touch it. Cleanliness has to be there. That is where Lijo is very observant. Whenever he walks in, first thing he checks is, okay, is everything clean? And then if something is not clean, if there's dust somewhere, immediately we'll tell the people to, hey, this needs to be corrected. And then the last thing is customer service. We have to have good customer service. Customer has to be valued.
So, do you have any future plans of expanding your business?
We have certain ideas, but I think right now we want to make sure that what we're doing is expanding is easy. Expansion we could do easy, but at the same time it comes with its own set of challenges.
Yes.
Scaling is not an easy, just like anything, right? If you're a software industry, if you have 100 people visiting your website and then suddenly you get 100,000, how do you scale, right? I mean, it is a mad scramble. So we take things slowly. We want to make sure that what we understand first, create processes, make sure that those processes can be replicated, make sure we have the process in place to hire the right people. So there's a lot of things that are going. So we do have ideas about expansion, but we'll take it very slowly. Just make sure that what we can excel and we can really hone in on our skills, what we're doing here, understand them, and create a model that we can replicate. Expansion, yeah. So I mean, it's expanding just for the sake of expansion is just going to bring get us into trouble. So we will do it deliberately, make sure that we are successful in what we're doing, and then that gives us the time to really figure out, is this what you want to do? So slowly we'll do it.
Both Lijo and I, we want money definitely, but we got into this for passion. So whatever we build, we want to make sure that it's good, and we are happy with what we have built. So that is the key thing.
Plus, for me personally, there's a constant struggle between how do you balance it, right? Balance between your family with the work. And right now, I have a 10-year-old. I do want to spend time with my family. I don't want to miss those days. And then 10 years later, look back and think, hey, I had this ideas and of big, grand expansion. And then and I miss those moments. So I'm a very emotional person. For me, when it comes to family, so I would hate to tell my daughter, or no, I have just one daughter, so like 10 years when she's in college, that I couldn't spend time with her. So I am trying to balance that myself. No, I would hate to move away from here, and I'm already working. Plus, we have restaurants, so it's already taking time. But so yeah, so it's a challenge you have. The balance is very, very hard, and we'll do it. Each of us will do it the way it suits us, and not go above and beyond and be in trouble again.
Yeah.
So, what is your success mantra, or is there any inspirational quote that keeps you motivated all the day?
I think from one thing that we do, and if you've seen some of our posts, we always say is we go the extra mile, and it's on our both our Facebook pages, and we really do it. It's both. It's right, says right up front, we go the extra mile, and that's exactly what we do every single day. And the other thing is always we end each of our posts with saying eat fresh, eat healthy. And those are the two things. Those are, and we constantly keep reminding us that we have to go the extra mile for everything, even if it is a customer is unhappy, if something is, unless someone gets abusive, right? I mean, a customer gets abusive with the stuff, then we have to draw a line. But if that line hasn't been crossed, then we have to go the extra mile. We have to make sure that we do everything in our capacity to make sure that they have a great experience. And that going the extra mile has always been our from day one, and that we have it on our front page Facebook. If you go and visit the page, it's right on the front on the main page, says going the extra mile. And then the other thing is eat fresh, eat healthy. So those are the two key things, and has kept us and it's not just a statement. We both truly believe in it. I mean, going the extra, even if it's the smallest of things, we truly believe in going the extra mile.
So final question. So what suggestion would you give to anybody who's planning to start a restaurant, or any pitfalls they have that they have to look for?
Getting into
It's like an iceberg. What people see in a restaurant is just the tip.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot thing that is underneath that is below that top of the iceberg, and that is what restaurant business is. There's a lot of things that have to happen in the background, constantly be on top of all the paperwork. There's tons and tons of paperwork.
Yeah, and I'll go above and beyond. You won't hear people saying it, but we both are know Jay from Mylapore, and he had something which kind of struck with me for a long time, and he's done extremely well and is a really great operator. He said starting a restaurant is like riding a bull, getting on a bull and riding a bull, and he had made that post, and when I read that, I'm like, wow, that is so true, and that is what it is. I mean, it's like someone, you're sitting on a bull, and that is the feeling that you would get when you start a restaurant. So. And when I read his post, I was like, wow, that is exactly what that feeling is. So yeah, it's not to discourage anybody, but there's a lots of emotions, a lot of challenges, and people will get in. I mean, it's a low entry barrier. You'll have people come in, get out. But to have a successful business, it's like you have to ride that bull.
Thanks for joining us, Sushilji and Lijoji.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. It was wonderful to speak with you. Thanks for taking time and coming and chatting with us.
Yep.
It's our pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.